Kanto, the region where it all began. The region where we first stepped foot into the Pokemon world. Waking up in a small house in Pallet Town, walking into the grass before being stopped by Professor Oak, being given our starter, and then finally exploring the world with our arrogant rival. From catching Pokemon to beating gym leaders, stopping a criminal organization, all of which culminates with winning the championship from the same rival who was always ahead of us. We have seen different incarnations of this journey, both in the games and the anime. But as I've shown in my introduction video, which you should totally watch for the sake of context, another version of this journey began in 1997, which arguably did it the best. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Gunner, and this is my review of Pokemon Adventures Red, Blue, and Green. Cue the intro!
Ronaldinho success!
Dead meme, bro. Shut up! The Red and Blue arc comprises of 3 volumes in total and is centered around the journey of a young boy from Pallet Town, Red. The art style, both for the Pokemon and especially to the characters, are faithful to the original illustrations made by Ken Sugimori. This, combined with the region design, buildings, and areas staying faithful to the games, immediately creates that nostalgic and familiar atmosphere. This is made even better by the Pokemon, who don't just yell out their names like you'd expect them to in the anime, but speak and behave in a way that appears to be faithful to the games, which is especially noticeable when they are in their natural habitat. And on that note, there are many more other in-game elements that are made use of, which combined with the author's interpretation added to the mix, creates a completely unique and fresh experience to accommodate that said nostalgia. It answers the question of what Pokemon would have looked like if a series was crafted out of these already established concepts with no restrictions from a Game Boy cartridge, something that Mr. Kusaka showcases exceptionally well, both with his take on the characters and the battling. Contrary to his Silent Game counterpart, Red is a confident and outgoing character with a knack for Pokemon battling. He's both caring and helpful to humans and Pokemon alike, establishing him as the ideal protagonist. That is until you see him having a massive ego because of that said confidence, which combined with his impulsive nature, gives him his fair share of troubles. His rival Blue, which I'll call Green because that's how I first got introduced to him, is the complete opposite as he's calmer and more collected with his approaches, with a hint of arrogance, always prompting to think more rationally than emotionally, which is the starting point of what to me is the best incarnation of the Red and Blue rivalry. Something that I'll roughly touch upon soon. To make matters even better, the scrap female protagonist, Green, who I'll call Blue for identical reasons, also exists in the story and is the furthest thing from a throwaway character, immediately establishing herself as a mischievous con artist with so many tricks up in her book that you could mistake her for Eddie Guerrero's child. Custody of Blue ladder match confirmed! Another detail that I came to appreciate was the fact that the starters are not the first Pokemon of these protagonists, but a different Pokemon that's always been with them before the beginning of this journey. A trend that continues to stay consistent in the future arcs. Moving on, even the gym leaders have a much bigger purpose, where regardless of the role they play, they do their jobs in acting as catalysts towards the growth of Red as a Pokemon trainer. All these vibrant personalities, combined with Mr. Kusaka's excellent planning and implementation, make for a very well knit and polished experience. Not once have I ever gotten bored or found myself annoyed with any of these individuals, because one way or another, they add to the experience, making myself, among other readers, feel the same level of enjoyment that one experiences when they're having their Pokemon journey. Regarding the Pokemon battles, you may already know by now that it works differently in the sense that the trainers are also a part of the battles as well. This is immediately established when Red and Professor Oak get into trouble, facing a runaway Machoke inside the Viridian Gym, leading to Red opening the windows so that sunlight could enter and his Bulbasaur would be able to use Solar Beam, all of which he taught on the fly, mind you. This would be a sign of things to come, as for the rest of the battles that Red would partake in, he would also be a massive key player in bringing out the best of his Pokemon. working together to pull off what they individually cannot, which makes for some very amazing scenes and also building upon the bond with both trainer and Pokemon. Now, with this being the first incarnation of this series, I was worried that I would find these battles underwhelming to read again after so long. That couldn't be further from the case. That same level of quality in these battles have always existed, and I dare say still do hold up well when compared to the battles of these later arcs. For these battles have the perfect dose of both innovation and logic, where simply the power of friendship alone doesn't just lead to the heroes outmuscling their enemies in a clash of wills, but also used as just one piece of the puzzle. The one piece that is then combined with our heroes formulating a well-planned strategy, which they implement together to come out with the victories. Something that I personally feel is one of the biggest highlights of these Pokemon battles. With everything that I just mentioned about the premise and characters, it's a clear giveaway that the story is completely different than the one that we played growing up. And while it's true that this arc is much simpler, compared to the future arcs that is, there are still many great things to say about it. Among them is the red and green rivalry. Contrary to its usual portrayal in the games, here it's a case of both influencing one another. As mentioned before, Red, despite being a good person that loves his Pokemon, starts off as a very overconfident trainer that relies on his impulsive side too much, leading to him overestimating his abilities and getting absolutely destroyed by Mew when he went after it with very little experience, leading to Green, who was fighting Mew and stopped midway beforehand, telling Red to know his limits. Green, while being the calmer and composed type that focuses on logic and has a strict principle on how he trains his Pokemon, forgets to take the ethical and emotional side of things into consideration, leading to him attacking and trying to catch a wild Kangaskhan that was not fighting back because she had a sick baby in her pouch which she was protecting, leading to Red stopping him in his tracks and helping the baby before telling him how it isn't winning if the opponent is at a direct disadvantage. This becomes a constant theme throughout the journey, as with each encounter they have, they both learn and implement something new from one another, all of which culminates in the final battle at the Pokemon League, which had me smiling the whole time. Something that I can assure you I will make an entirely separate video on because it deserves just that and much more. Please subscribe. Let's not forget about the third main character, Blue either. Pokemon Adventures is where she makes her first actual appearance and is what I would say the most fleshed out character among the trio in the whole series. She immediately establishes herself as the ultimate antithesis of a main character through taking advantage of Red's naive side and selling him useless items, something that she apparently did to the others as well. Her actions throughout this arc do not paint her as a saint by any means. It went even so far to the point that despite working together with Red at one point, she left him alone to deal with Team Rocket and make her escape. Despite all of that, she has proven to be one of the most entertaining characters to read. From her very brash and entertaining personality, combined with her insane creativity to help her get out of any situation she finds herself in, to effectively using her Pokemon like Jigglypuff and Ditto, who elevate her character even further, to finally the mysterious past surrounding her. She's a perfect fit into the story and only serves to add more to its charm and appeal. Team Rocket is treated as a much bigger threat too, where throughout the story, they are seen as much more organized and concise with their plans. What truly sets this incarnation apart from any other version of them would have to be that this Team Rocket's influence is so strong that even some of the gym leaders are a part of it too as admins. Something that the manga makes no effort to hide in the first place, as they are Lieutenant Surge, Sabrina, and Koga respectively. This makes for some very unique scenarios throughout the story, where combined with the battling style and their special capabilities, forms essential hurdles for Red, Green, and even Blue to face throughout this arc. Furthermore, while this idea of these said gym leaders being a part of Team Rocket may potentially throw some people off, it is still justified enough in a satisfactory fashion, for it all ties down to one individual, Giovanni. See, Giovanni has always been considered by many as the most iconic Pokemon villain in the franchise. Among many other reasons, the arguably biggest reason for that would have to be the level of mystery surrounding him, that even to this date remains a fond discussion for many Pokemon fans, myself included. What Mr. Kusaka gets right with this incarnation of him is the fact that he extends it to his behavior as well. While the games may have portrayed him as a straightforward and ruthless mafia leader, that is not entirely the case here. For while he does show just that, he also displays surprisingly humane traits that you'd see in an ideal Pokemon trainer, with the biggest one having to be his undying love for Pokemon battling, which he brings out in his encounters against Red. From their initial encounters, Giovanni takes notice of Red's special talent as a Pokemon battler and comes to develop a liking for him. So much so to the point that in their final encounter, he makes a deal with Red saying that if he's beaten, he will disband Team Rocket. But if he wins, it'll be Red that has to join his organization. This particular battle is special in a lot of ways, as not only did it make for a beyond amazing Pokemon battle, it also solidly drove home multiple story elements and character points. Giovanni stuck to his promise of this being a fair battle, and throughout its entirety, he also made it a point to teach Red multiple lessons in battling as it progressed, effectively fulfilling his role as a gym leader in the process. It cemented the fact that while he is still the same villainous leader of Team Rocket that we all know, he still hasn't lost that side of a trainer who possesses that pure love for Pokemon battling. All of which adds so much charm and charisma to his character, and for me, explains even more why all his subordinates are loyal to him, including these aforementioned gym leaders. That is not to say I do not have any gripes with this arc, for I most certainly do. For one, it's only 3 comparatively short volumes, which leads to its fair share of issues. Among them is the character spotlight. While I have mentioned how Blue is the most fleshed out character among the trio, that is not exactly seen here. Comparatively, she is utilized the least among the trio and only starts to develop at the end of the story, with the future arcs being a culmination of her growth. Same with the story behind her. And for characters like Green, other than his interactions with Red and against Team Rocket, there is not much social interactions on his behalf and with other individuals. Still, at the end of the day, I'd say that there's still minor nitpicks on my behalf at best. In closing, I can say with absolute certainty that rereading the Red, Blue, and Green arc has been nothing but a pleasant experience. While the story may be something that's considered simple by the general viewer, it makes effective use out of everything, from the action-packed Pokemon battles that will always keep you at the edge of your seat, to properly writing and developing their characters, to even little touches such as the Pokédex having the original sprites of the Pokemon and making the idea of earning gym badges actually helping your Pokemon get stronger a real thing, as per the original Red and Blue games. There was not a single dull moment throughout the experience, as during the chapters where there would be no Pokemon battles, there would always be a healthy dose of entertaining scenes that add more charm to the whole cast, including the side characters. All of which the first artist of this manga series, Mato, did a wonderful job at displaying. All in all, the whole experience felt like I was back at experiencing my childhood again, while witnessing something completely fresh and new at the same time. Especially with insane concepts such as Moltres, Zapdos, and Articuno being fused into one Pokemon, Mewtwo fighting with a spoon and looking like a badass at the same time, among many other things. It truly made me come to appreciate Gen 1 again in a time where it arguably has been oversaturated to death. And to add the icing on the cake, it acts as a perfect setup for the future arcs to come, for the other characters that didn't get enough spotlight and development to truly shine. If you are a longtime Pokemon fan like myself, I have all the faith in the world that you will enjoy it as well. And with that concludes my review of Pokemon Adventures Red, Blue, and Green. In all seriousness though, I'd like to sincerely apologize for making you guys wait so long for this. In reality, I've been rather poor at handling my time, especially with work responsibilities and this, but I can assure you that I'm not done with Pokemon Adventures anytime soon. There's so much more that I want to talk about and so much more content that I want to make about this amazing manga, and honestly, I'll be damned if I don't make all of this happen. So yeah, I genuinely thank you all for the patience, and I hope you are able to enjoy this review. And if so, please do like this video, consider subscribing and sharing with your Pokemon Adventures friends, because there's much more where that came from. And also because I want to reach 5,000 subscribers by the end of this year. But yeah, there's a lot more content coming soon, and I cannot wait to show it to each and every single one of you. My name is Gunnar. Thank you very much for watching. Have yourselves a glorious day, and I'll see you all on the flip side. Wish!